John Colo at DiscountJuicers.com. Through another exciting episode for you. In this episode, what we're going to do is we're going to share with you guys how to make a tomato paste out of fresh tomatoes using a juicer. Now, I always encourage you guys to eat as much fresh fruits and fresh vegetables as possible. And it's quite unfortunate that most tomato paste that you buy come in a can. And in the can, they might add things like preservatives and oils and even a lot of salt. So I'm going to show you guys how you can do it very quickly and easily with a juicer without adding none of those additives. Plus, in addition, many cans have a liner of the BPA, which is, a thing that most people do not want to include in their diet because it's been found to, have some problems and challenges. So in any case, we're going to use some juicers today, and the two juicers I'm choosing to use today are the Breville Juice Fountain Elite JE800XL. This is one of the most popular Breville models, and the higher end Breville is basically this model. It just comes with a different juicing disc or blending disc. This runs at 6,500 RPM on the slow speed or low speed, and that's meant for fruits such as the tomatoes, and on the high speed meant for the vegetables and whatnot, it runs at like 13,000 RPM. So that's incredibly fast, and it sounds fairly loud. Over on this side, we have the Slowstar Juicer, and it's called the Slowstar Juicer because it runs at a low and slow 47 RPM. So that's really slow. So I mean, this really works by a blade, like if you grate carrots up, there's a blade that spins around inside here, and it basically grates up the tomatoes and then flings out the juice in the front and flings out the pulp in the back. And this happens all at a high speed, and it's done relatively quick, so we're going to be able to juice these tomatoes really fast. Now, this machine works a little bit different. This works more like crushing and squeezing. So how this works is we have this auger here that basically the tomato or whatever you're putting in gets crushed by the duo blades here, and then it works its way down the auger until whatever you put into it literally just squeeze. The juice is squeezed out in a much more gentle process. Now, I know some of you guys are like super busy people, and you're like, John, I don't got the time to wait for a slow juicer, man. I want it done fast. I mean, everybody wants that fast sports car and all this stuff. But I would caution you that, when you go to buy a juicer, or if you're using a juicer, why not get the most benefits out of the food you're using? Well, I agree that using a fast juicer and making your own tomato paste is better than buying canned tomato paste, or not eating tomato paste or tomato juice at all. It'd be far better to have a slow juicer because you're going to retain more of the beneficial phytonutrients and phytochemicals, vitamins, and minerals in the juice. A recent study I saw where they compared a high-speed juicer to a slow juicer with broccoli. They basically extracted juice from broccoli with a high-speed juicer and a slow juicer, and then put that in the test tube with cancer cells. And the juice made with a slow juicer had 50% more cancer-fighting abilities, right? So I don't know about you, but cancer is one of the things that I'm going to avoid, and I'm going to eat healthy food. So I want more cancer protection instead of less cancer protection. And I want to encourage you guys are going to see how long it takes to juice tomatoes. And yes, it will take longer than the Slowstar, but it's not that much longer. And what you're going to get out of it is a more nutritious juice. And you'll see that actually after we make it. So I guess without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the juicing. We're going to go ahead and juice in the Breville first. We're going to go ahead and flip the switch up to the low speed. Take out the plunger. And we're just going to take the pre-weighed out tomatoes, and we have the Love at First Sight Divine Organic tomatoes on the vine here. Just going to dump these guys right in. And look at that. You got to put your hand over this because otherwise you'll get some splatter. That went through the machine relatively quickly. But look at this juice. Oh my God. We'll hit the off button. Does that look like juice or froth to you? All right. Next, let's go ahead and use the Slowstar. It's a little bit slower, and you put the tomatoes in, just drop them in one at a time. That's probably the best idea. You don't want to put them all in at once. That may overload the slow juicer after all. It is a slow juicer. But nonetheless, I mean, it's going a little bit faster. It's not splashing all over. And if I didn't put my hand over the top, this would have splashed all over, made a big mess. This was about 12.7 ounces of tomatoes going through each machine. Right, so that's how easy it was. I mean, obviously the Breville was faster, but this is a lot slower, but I really want to wait for this to finish and then show you the juice. Another thing I really want to show you guys is actually the pulp that was generated. So we're going to go ahead and take this pulp catch bin out of the Breville and dump it on this side of the plate here. Try to get all this pulp out for you guys. So there is the pulp, and out of the Slowstar, we're going to go ahead and tip that guy up a little bit so we can get any last drips out. And there is some pulp still left in the Slowstar juicer, but we'll take out the pulp that it created and show you guys. So as you guys can see, this is the pulp. I mean, there's a lot of pulp here. This pulp is still wringing wet, very wet. You know, if we look in here, we can see like whole pieces of tomato, you know, that really didn't even get juiced. I mean, this is waste in food. And I mean, in most produce items such as fruits and leafy greens, the high-speed machines, you know, you're basically throwing money down the drain because you're throwing away wet pulp. In the Slowstar, I mean, we basically just got the separation of the seeds and the skin there. And yes, there's still some pulp stuck in the machine, so it didn't all come out. But look at the difference in the juice. I mean, put this stopper down. Look at this juice. I mean, look at that juice. This is clearly the difference between the juices. I mean, do you want a juice that all the lycopene is just not, most of the lycopene is not present, and it's just frothy and almost clear? Or do you want a rich, delicious, you know, red juice, rich in lycopene? And you know, what I'm going to do next actually is I want to get some more extraction out of that Breville because I'm feeling I've wasted some of my money when I use the Breville to juice my tomatoes. So we're simply going to go ahead and take this tomato pulp that came out of the Breville and pour it through the Slowstar. We're going to go ahead and put some more of the pulp through the Slowstar juicer. And check out all that juice coming out. I mean, we were pretty full, but even the Slowstar, so much more efficient than the Breville. It could extract the pulp that came out of the Breville and get more juice. Look, we almost got a full glass now by feeding all this pulp back in to the Slowstar. And it's taking that pulp, squeezing out, wringing out, breaking open the cell walls, and extracting the really rich, lycopene-rich juice. The next thing I want to do is show you guys how to turn this tomato juice into a tomato paste without cooking. Alright, so now that we got our juice, and check it out, I mean, this glass was partially full, and then when we rejuiced the Breville pulp, we almost got a full glass of juice. And look at this, once again, look at the difference in the juice. Do you want to drink this nice, rich and red, or, you know, a lot of froth and like clear juice, right? The main nutrients inside the fruits and the vegetables are basically locked up in fiber, right? And the juicer literally liberates those nutrients and puts it into a liquid state so that it'll be more available for you to uptake. Now they say that eating a raw tomato, you don't get as much lycopene as if you cooked the tomato. And that's because when you cook the tomato, you basically break open the cell walls. But juicing is doing the same thing by breaking open the cell walls, as evidenced by the deep, rich red color. Another thing when cooking is most nutrients decrease. You know, it's very rare that any nutrients will increase. I mean, you may have an uptake increase in some certain phytonutrients, but nutrients always decrease when you heat things. So for that reason, I recommend heating things as minimal as possible, or not heating things up. You know, so when we juice, we liberate the lycopene from the cell walls so that we'll get a greater uptake of it. And in addition, we're going to have all the beneficial phytochemicals and phytonutrients, you know, that are available in the tomato because we did not heat it. And you know, tomatoes have been shown to be anti-inflammatory, they're antioxidants, which will help keep you young. And there's even research that says, you know, the tomato can help against cancer and whatnot. So what we're going to do now is actually we're going to go ahead and turn our tomato juice into a tomato paste. To do that, we have the Vitamix, and we're just going to go ahead and pour tomato juice in here. So now that we got the tomato juice in there, we got about 14 ounces of tomatoes. We're going to put a few things in because, you know, the tomato paste is normally sweet. So what I got here is I got 5 dates. So these are, you know, naturally grown on a tree, sun-dried, and very important, take out the date pits. So we're going to put that in for a little bit of sweetener. I encourage you guys to always use foods, you know, whole foods instead of like processed foods. So whole dates will add some nice sugar. We'll also add some fiber and other vitamins, minerals, and phytonutrients, whereas white sugar simply just adds sugar that are empty calories because there's not any nutrients with the sugar other than just the sugar itself and calories. So 5 dates, that'll get this paste nice and sweet. And the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and simply add more tomatoes. So these are tomatoes that I dehydrated myself, and these are just dried tomatoes, and we're just going to go ahead and put a pile of tomatoes in there. And what this is going to do is going to thicken up our tomatoes juice in there, and we're going to have a nice tomato paste that's thicker and also a little bit sweeter, so that we can use this paste, you know, for other uses, whether that means you want to make a sauce, whether you want to make, you know, a delicious thick juice or a puree or a pate. This would be great to do just that, you know. So now we're going to go ahead and turn on the Vitamix Turbo Blend VS. Now it's very important, if you want to make this recipe and a lot of the recipes that I show, I encourage you guys to get a high power blender. And at present time, the Vitamix Turbo Blend VS is my favorite blender because it really has a powerful motor and sharp blades that get in there and really fractionate the food. So if you have a standard $20 blender and you try to do this recipe, you're going to get chunks of the sun-dried or dried tomatoes. And with the Vitamix, it's going to emulsify the tomatoes in with the juice to make a nice creamy paste. So let's go ahead and start this up. I like to start it up on the low speed setting and then crank it up to high. Alright, so I think it's about done, and this is nice and thick. Check this out. It's so thick that it won't even come out. This could be a good base for ketchup or any kind of other recipe you want to use it for. And look at how thick this stuff is, man. I mean, this is the power of the Vitamix. This is not going to happen in a normal blender. Look at that. Got some nice, delicious, rich tomato paste that you could use as a base of pretty much any recipe, whether you want to make some kind of salsa by putting in some, you know, chopped up tomatoes, or whether you want to use this as a pizza sauce or a marinara sauce. I mean, you could take this recipe in any direction you'd like. What I'm going to probably do with this recipe tonight is I'm probably going to maybe add some of this tomato juice, maybe add some other herbs and spices, maybe blend it up with a handful of nuts. And when you add some nuts and blend it up with some nuts, it makes it nice and creamy, and it'll increase the uptake of the lycopene that's in there because the fat slows down the digestion. So that's what I'm probably going to do, make a soup out of it. So that's pretty much it for this episode. Showed you guys how to use the Breville to make a inferior juice of tomatoes, in my opinion, and how to use the Slowstar, and how to turn that juice by using the Vitamix Turbo Blend VS into a nice, delicious, rich tomato paste that can be used for many things. Now, you will want to use this within 3 days or minimally dehydrate it, and if you dehydrate this into like tomato sheets, then it'll store indefinitely as a nice, really rich and thick tomato paste. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode, learning more about the Slowstar and the Breville and how it juices tomatoes and how to make a fresh tomato paste that you could use at home to increase the amount of nutrition you get. I mean, that's the beauty of the juicers, you know, and the blenders. They allow you to process foods at home so you can get away from eating the pre-processed foods that have lower food values, and in my opinion, many of them are making Americans sick each and every day. So eat more fruits and vegetables. Get some of these appliances so that you can eat some of the best and healthiest stuff on the planet. Once again, my name is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Be sure to visit DiscountJuicers.com/YouTube for special promotional offers for our YouTube visitors. Alright, this is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you. And what we're going to do today is compare the two most popular, best-selling Tribest juicers. Now, Tribest has been in the business for over 25 years, and they make some of the finest juicers on the market.